Here we go, the quick version of supply and demand. Supply and demand is about marginal benefits and marginal costs. It's about the things we talk about as economists all the time. Marginal benefits and marginal costs. Marginal benefits and marginal costs. The market is going to match marginal benefits and marginal costs. The additional benefit of buying one more, the additional cost of selling one more. That's what markets are going to match. We call it supply and demand, but it's really all about marginal revenue, marginal benefits, marginal costs. Okay, demand is the quantity of a good that consumers are willing and able to purchase at a given price. So, I'd love to own a Ferrari. I'm willing, not able. I'm able to own an entire Kanye West collection. I'm not willing. So I don't have a demand for either one of those things. You only have a demand for something when you're both willing and able to purchase it at the current price. If Ferrari has a sale and I can buy a Ferrari for $20,000, now I'm willing and I'm able. So I have to be willing and able to buy it at whatever the price in the market is. The law of demand says there's an inverse relationship between the quantity demanded and the price. That means, strangely enough, that consumers like low prices. Inverse means opposite. When prices are high, consumers have a low quantity demanded. When prices are low, consumers want to buy a lot of the good. What affects the demand for a product? Well, the first thing is prices of what we call complements and substitutes. Complements are things that go together. So an airline ticket in a hotel room, if you're thinking about going to Disneyland and airline tickets are really cheap, that will increase the demand for hotel rooms. If peanut butter prices go to $20 a jar, we'll sell less jelly. Substitutes are things that are able to replace each other. If United Airlines raises their price, Southwest will see an increase in demand. Income. Most goods are what we call normal goods. That means we buy more of them as our income goes up. Some goods are inferior goods. That doesn't mean they're low quality. They could be fine products, but we buy fewer of them as our incomes rise. So, in general, we're going to spend more money on cars as our income rises. However, we're probably going to buy fewer Honda Civics if we're rich and more BMWs. And we probably don't see rich guys sending the chauffeur out to get a box of Kraft mac and cheese with the powdered cheese. So, inferior good, we buy less of as our income goes up. Number of customers is easy. The more consumers there are of a good, the more demand there should be for it. And then we're affected by our tastes and preferences. So, new product comes out, it's hot. A year later, nobody might want it. People used to wear clothes if you watch an old movie from the 50s, and we don't dress like that anymore. A lot of demand things are about our taste and preferences. Just a quick word which says demand and quantity demanded. The demand for something is the curve itself. The quantity demanded is our position on the curve, which means if we say as an economist that demand has changed, we mean that the whole curve has moved. If we say quantity demanded has changed, that means we slid along the curve. If we look at this graph, it's a beautiful graph of supply and demand. You notice we have price on the y-axis. We have quantity on the x-axis. We have three demand curves here, 1, 2, and 3. They are downward sloping. They're downward sloping because consumers like low prices. If I move from A to B, that's moving from curve 1 to curve 2. That's an increase in demand. If I move from A to E, I stayed on the curve. That's an increase in the quantity demanded. How do I get from A to B? Well, the price of a complement goes down. The price of a substitute goes up. People's incomes rise, assuming that this is a normal good. We have more consumers, or we have a positive change in tastes. How do I get from A to E? The price of the good falls. Supply is the quantity of good the businesses are willing and able to produce at a given price. So I might be able to produce a particular product, but I don't make any money doing it. I make 2 cents. It's not worth it. Ford is dropping out of building consumer sedans, not because they don't make a profit on them, but because they make more profit on SUVs and trucks, and so they want to go to SUVs and trucks. There is a direct relationship between the price and the quantity supplied. Businesses like high prices, so as the price goes up, businesses will increase the quantity supplied. What affects supply? Cost of production, labor costs, capital costs, interest rates, taxes, things that affect their cost of doing business. Supply is all about profit. So when costs go up, profits tend to go down, businesses are unhappy. Alternative uses of resources. Again, Ford only has so many factories. If they can use those factories to produce SUVs instead of cars to make more money, that's what they're going to do. You move your resources into what's profitable. If you're McDonald's and you start selling a product like pizza, McDonald's tried to sell pizza for a while, you don't put your resources into it unless it's a profitable thing to do. Number of sellers, obviously more sellers will increase supply, and better technology tends to increase supply of products. So again, price and quantity, 3 supply curves, S1, S2, S3. S3 is the largest supply, S1 is the smallest supply. How do I get from A to B? Well, that's an increase in supply. So my labor costs went down, or some other costs went down. People decided to shift from another product to this product. Corn farmers shift to wheat production, something like that. There are more suppliers of the good, or we improve the technology of selling the good, producing the good. So we have equilibrium. Equilibrium is where the quantity that consumers want to buy is equal to the quantity that businesses want to sell. It's a particular price. Remember, markets are all about prices. The price in the market is a signal to us. The price in the market tells us what to do. The price in the market runs the economy. Again, a capitalist system is sometimes known as a price system. Equilibrium in supply and demand we look at as being stable. And what that means is if we move away from it, there's an automatic tendency to move back. So let's put supply and demand on a graph together. Again, price, quantity, demand, supply. Where they meet in the middle is the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. Again, in supply and demand, there is one price at which the quantity consumers want to buy is equal to the quantity that businesses want to sell. If market price, equilibrium price is $7 and the market's at $4, consumers like low prices, businesses don't. So the business is going to supply less, have a lower quantity supplied because they're not making as much money. The consumers have an increase in quantity demanded because they want to buy more at the low price. We end up with what's called a shortage. Not enough of this good is available in the market. Businesses are going to respond to the fact that consumers want to buy more than they have by raising the price, and we go back to equilibrium. It's important to understand this. When somebody says, hey, we have a shortage of school teachers, why? Well, the price of school teachers, their salary has to be too low. You want to get rid of the shortage of school teachers, raise their price. The opposite of that's a surplus. If the price is really high compared to equilibrium, businesses are happy with that. They want to increase the quantity supplied because there's a lot of profit to be made, but consumers don't want to buy it. All of a sudden, we have more being produced than consumers want to buy. We're going to find that businesses have a sale, right? There's too much stuff in the store. What do? You have a sale. We're going to get back to equilibrium. Okay? So again, prices, the importance of prices is they provide us information. They help us ration our limited resources. They run the world. So let's do a couple of quick examples. Here we are selling tacos. Price of beef rises. Again, you as a consumer, you don't buy the beef to go in your taco. When you go to Taco Bell buys the beef to go in the taco. They care about that. When the price of beef rises, the profit from selling tacos goes down. When profits go down, supply goes down. So what we're going to see is a shift in supply to the left. It's going to decrease. Businesses are going to raise the price of tacos because it costs more to make them, and consumers are going to buy fewer tacos because they're more expensive. There's nothing about supply and demand that isn't just about logic. It's our logic at work. What happens if the price of a burrito rises? Well, burritos and tacos, we think, maybe are substitutes. You go to Taco Bell, you're thinking about buying a burrito, but you get there and it's $10 for the burrito because there's a national bean shortage. What do? You're liable to substitute away from the burrito and toward buying a taco. So we would see the demand for burritos go down, or at least the quantity demanded of burritos go down. And we would see an increase in the demand for tacos. So Taco Bell, if they're smart, they understand that besides raising the price of burritos because they had to, they could maybe then get away with raising the price of tacos a little bit. If you're United Airlines and you raise your price by $50 on a route, people are going to shift to Southwest. Southwest could raise their fare by 10 or 20 and still attract those people because they'd still be cheaper. So we expect the price to go up, and we expect consumers to buy more tacos. Those are the kind of stories we're going to tell in supply and demand. And again, price, benefits and costs, and finding the price.